You know what really kind of sucks? Many years ago, my sister bought me this shirt. It's a Shazam shirt. And I really wanted to wear it to the screening tonight and in this review, but despite that it's an extra large, it feels more like a medium, so it's really tight on me and my nipples poke out, and you don't want that. Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Shazam, the next installment in the DC line of movies that have had some hits and misses, sort of, getting a little better lately. So this film was directed by David F. Sandberg, who surprisingly has come from doing a couple of great horror films like Lights Out, Annabelle Creation, and this movie tells a story of a foster kid named Billy Batson who is bestowed with these powers by a magical wizard. If he says the name Shazam, he turns into an adult superhero. In the meantime, we've got Mark Strong playing Dr. Thaddeus Savannah, who is basically after Billy's power. He's just power-hungry guy who's got these demons as pets. And Billy's also got to come to terms with, the whole story with his mom abandoning him and fitting in with this new family and all this sort of coming-of-age stuff. So look, I've been really looking forward to this film because I'm the sort of person, I love to go to the movies to be entertained. I mean, there's a lot of movies that make us think about our lives and make us want to be better people and make us cry. But at the end of the day, I like to go and have a good time. And this movie, from the trailers and everything I've been hearing about it, it looked like a good time at the movies. I've long loved the character of Shazam. I like the whole duality of a child becoming an adult superhero. And Zachary Levi plays the adult version of the character in this, and I thought he was such a fantastic choice in this role because there was a show that he did that not many people seem to know about it. It was called Chuck, and I loved that show, and he always sort of had this kind of, not like a childlike quality, but he was young at heart. And so what better person to play an adult version of a kid? So like I said, the DC universe, it's had its hits and misses. A lot of people criticize many of the films like Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman, etc. But then we've had movies like Wonder Woman and Aquaman that, most people seem to enjoy. But look, all those movies get pushed aside now because this one is the absolute best of the bunch. Not only is it the best of this bunch, it's one of the best damn superhero movies I've ever seen in my life. I cannot tell you how much I loved this movie. And for the sole reason that I was entertained from start to finish. You couldn't wipe the smile off my face through this whole thing. It was hilariously funny. Aside from the dialogue and the great comedic performances and everything, the editing was really well done in terms of enhancing the comedy. There were moments where, it just lingered for the right amount of time or had some cool cuts or whatever that the comedic timing in the editing was something I've never really talked about in a movie before, but this movie had it. I thought the direction was great. I was kind of curious as to how it was going to be having a horror director coming into sort of a funny superhero film, but he did such a great job because there were dark moments in this film. Now, keep in mind that even though the subject matter revolves around kids and, there's a lot of kids in this movie, it's not a kid's film. Halfway through this movie, there's a scene in a boardroom. I'm not going to give any spoilers. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. A mum actually walked out with her young son kind of shielding him from the screen, and they never came back. There are some pretty dark moments in this film, but I dug them. I really did. I thought that they balanced the tone so perfectly well in this film. For someone like me who enjoys horror and comedy, it was a perfect blend of the two things. I thought Asher Angel as the young Billy Batson was great, but the absolute standout in this film went to Jack Dylan Grazer, who played Freddy, his sort of best friend, foster brother. That kid was amazing. His performance was just, he really knocked it out of the park. Yeah, and just all the foster kids in this film, like this whole sort of family unit, they were so great. Every character was so unique and individual and played a part in the story. Even the mum and dad were great. Like, everyone had their own personality, but more importantly, like, pretty much every character in this film, from the main ones to the side characters, played a part in the story. And that's something that doesn't really happen a lot in movies these days. Like, you do get, you focus on the main characters a lot, but this time around, yeah, just every single character played a part. And it was also really cool to see John Glover in this film, who, if you're a DC fan of shows such as Smallville and a bunch of the animated stuff, or if you liked Batman and Robin, then you know who he is. And yeah, so it was just really cool to see him in another DC property. But yeah, the script was absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, this movie is hilarious. It is primarily a comedy above everything else. In a lot of ways, yeah, like some people are saying, it did feel like Big meets Superman. There was even a blatant reference to the movie Big in this, but there was one thing that not a lot of people were talking about, and it really reminded me of The Greatest American Hero. If you've seen this TV show, I love you. For those unaware, that TV show was about someone who's given a super suit and has no idea how to use his powers. And yeah, this film had a lot of that. There's a lot of really funny moments where Freddy and Billy are trying to figure out what Shazam's superpowers are. And oh man, it led to some really cracking funny moments. And I really love the way that Zachary Levi handled the transition into suddenly becoming an adult. Like, there were so many moments where he did stupid crap and was basically a douchebag, but it was plausible. I mean, if we were like 14, 15 years old, like, let's face it, if we suddenly became an adult superhero, we'd be doing some pretty stupid crap too. Don't deny it, you would. And the way that they handled the whole coming of age story, with, his progress from being a douchebag into becoming a hero and everything, it was just handled so well. There were some really, really heartwarming moments in the film, and the whole progress just really flowed naturally. I really thought it was a brilliantly written film. Being that this film takes place within the DC universe now, there were a lot of references to the, previous heroes that we've seen before. And I kind of like that everyone's wearing merchandise and stuff, especially Freddy, the best friend character. Like, yeah, he's constantly wearing Aquaman or Batman or Wonder Woman t-shirts everywhere. There's a scene in a toy store where, the whole place is just decked out with DC merch, and that it would be like that in a world if we had superheroes, that people would just be marketing them and making a huge profit from what they were doing. And without spoiling anything, I will just say there's a really cool surprise in this film. That's all I'm saying. So while I really love the film, look, I came out of this movie trying to find things that I didn't like about it, and all I can come up with are nitpicky things, like a scene with Billy walking down a corridor of an apartment block, and he walks past the same number on the door twice, and there's a shot outside the school that introduces a scene a few times, and we basically have the same extras. Well, at least one of them that I noticed, this girl in a maroon parka with a Batman backpack, who was pretty much in the same spot doing different things, and a few minor editing things and stuff, but realistically those are just nitpicks. Like, some of the common criticisms I've heard about this film, some people say the tone is not balanced, which I disagree with. For me personally, I thought it was balanced just fine. Some people say that the CG in parts was so bad it took them out of the film. Again, I didn't get that. I actually thought the CG was fine. There were maybe like a couple of brief moments, but nothing that really was distracting. And another criticism was that Mark Strong's bad guy, like, we see him at the start as a kid, and then later on we see him as an adult, and there's this whole gap where we don't know what happened, but I thought it was actually pretty straightforward. Like, you do find out what he's been doing with his whole life and everything. It was explained pretty well to me. But look, overall, I mean, all I can come up with as far as things that I would criticize this film are just a handful of nitpicks, and none of them actually detracted from how much I loved the film. Like, this is one of the first films in a long, long time that I would have happily gone back into another session immediately afterwards. This was such an entertaining ride of a film. I'm already going tomorrow night to see it again. Not only will I be buying it on Blu-ray on day one, I'll be watching it on Blu-ray on day one. This is the sort of movie that you could just watch over and over again and never get sick of it. I absolutely loved this film so much. And here it comes. I'm giving Shazam a 10 out of 10. So it seems like most people are digging this movie. I know there are some people who have criticisms of it and whatever, but look, like I said, for me personally, I have a really deep love for this film. It was my kind of film. Just from the lines of dialogue to the situations and stuff, like just everything about it was my kind of film. All right, so throwing over to you awesome people. If you have seen Shazam, I would love to know what you guys thought of it and what were some things that you didn't like about the film, because yeah, I don't know, maybe one day I'll come up with something, but right now, having just seen it, yeah, I got nada. So let me know what you thought of Shazam, or if you're looking forward to it, go and see it. Come back, let me know what you thought of it. Drop me some comments either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies, and I would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nah.